Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Shalom. Happy New Year.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. How's everybody doing? I feel good. I'm Bishop Tazadak of the House Judah International Fellowship Church, here with the Elder Nathaniah Allah of the House Judah International Fellowship Church. For those who do not know, today is the last day of the year, and we're going into the new year come this evening. No applause? Nobody excited?
That's what we're talking about.
We're blessed. Every time we go into a new year, understand what a day, an hour, a minute, nothing is promised, right? That's why we put everything according to the will of the Most High. We say, listen, tomorrow I'll go to the store if it be the will of the Most High. Next week, I'll go and do such and such if it be the will of the Most High, because nothing, absolutely nothing is promised.
Yes, we want to wish a Happy New Year to our brothers and sisters over in Sierra Leone.
Bless you Philippines.
All. Yes.
And our brothers and sisters across the Americas. We got brothers and sisters who are watching from Hawaii. Shabbat Shalom to all of you as well. Peace and blessings to everyone, and Happy New Year.
Yes, and blessings to all of you new subscribers. Hey, we really appreciate your support.
So, y'all don't think we're just gonna say Happy New Year and wrap up? We're gonna go. We have a couple of scriptures that we want to touch on. Not gonna take long, but we have a message that we want to bring across concerning our people in the season that we're headed into. Everybody's focused on the physical aspect of the tribulation and everything that's going on the earth. Everybody's talking about Russia and all this kind of stuff. But what we have to understand is that that's only one aspect of what's going on, right? Yeah. While it's on a certain level important, and we're going to get into that when this is over, while on some level it's important, we have to understand the earth is changing. How many of you in here know the earth is changing? How many of you know that the earth is dying? So if the earth is changing, it stands to reason that we as a people have to change with it, right? See, in the world, they have this thing called evolution, right? We know evolution doesn't exist, right? We know adaptation exists, but the idea of evolution or adapting, the idea of adaptation, is when something changes, you change with it for reasons of survival, right? See, while the earth is changing, while people change, how many of you know the Most High does not? See, we like to believe that, but we like to believe that because times change, the standard changes as well. Because we moved from one place to another, everybody has different chores. Everybody has different responsibilities. No, the same responsibilities that were required in the last place are required in this place. Times change, right? Times change. Years change. The world changes, but the standard for which the Most High has for the children of Israel has always remained the same. The standard of righteousness that was established by Christ for men and women of the Most High has never changed. The same things that were required of us to achieve righteousness in the days of Moses are still required now, plus a little more. So if anything, not less isn't required, more is required. More is required. However, we must be prepared to change. The earth is changing. The Most High doesn't change. The standard for righteousness doesn't change. But we as a people have to begin to change. Had to let my hair down. I'm feeling a little bound. Let's get Malachi chapter 3, verse 6.
Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
So I am the Most High, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. What are they telling the children of Israel? It doesn't matter. Because the children of Israel sinned, the Most High no longer loves us. The Most High, we are no longer his chosen people. He's made everybody his chosen people. He said, even though my people changed on me, I have not changed on them.
God.
How many of you understand the significance of what that means? He said, my people changed on me, but I have not changed on you. Remember, we were out there in the wilderness. I chose you.
Mhm.
You chose me. But somewhere along the line, you decided to leave your commitment. You changed on me. What you wanted out of this relationship, you changed.
God.
I didn't change. The same standard when we came to the altar and said, these are my vows. Those vows remained the same. I'm still here. You walked away. So the Most High said, I am the Most High, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. I'm still here. My standard has never changed. Read.
Verse 7. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from my ordinances,
Mm-hmm.
and have not kept them.
Mm-hmm.
Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts.
So he said, even in the times of your fathers, you left me. For generations, you left me. But I am still here. I am still here. The Most High, the children of Israel have always constantly strayed from one side to another, from one God to another. But the Most High has never changed as it pertains to us. He said, even from the days of your fathers, ye have gone away from mine ordinances, is not kept them. But guess what? You can come back to me. You can come back to me. You know what that's called? It's called forgiveness. And you know what? This is true forgiveness because he's not saying, come back to me so I can beat on you for what you've done in the past. He's not saying, come back so I can always bring up the old stuff. That God you serve, this God you serve. No, come back to me and I will come back to you. The Most High said that he's raised up a people that are not his people. He's raised up your enemies to provoke you to jealousy. He went and got someone else to bring you home. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Though our people went a whoring, he remained faithful. Read.
I'll back up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return?
Wherein shall we return? What is the change we must make to be acceptable before the Most High? Anybody know? How do we change? Because the Most High hasn't changed, we changed. So what is it that we have to change to return unto him? Because we can't return in any state, right? You can't be at a wedding in a tuxedo or in a dress, leave, dirty it up, and come back dirty. You got to change. You got to get yourself together, right? And then come back to the altar. That's what the covenants are. We made a covenant with him. We made a marriage with him in the wilderness. We ran, and now he's saying, come back. This is the second covenant that he's going to make with our people. So what is it that we must change? Perfect. Born again. But what does that mean to be born again?
To come into a life of, his standards or, a new life.
Mm-hmm.
You're into a new life, you're walking a whole new walk.
Mm-hmm. And in a sense, that's true. But it's a little bit deeper than that. Brother Zephaniah, what do you have?
Have a change of mindset.
Mm-hmm. A change of mindset. A change of mindset. I like that. So we must detach ourselves from the gods that we've attached ourselves to. Right? If we left the Most High and we went a whoring after other gods, we've attached ourselves to other gods. So the first thing that we must do is detach ourselves from the world. Right? And begin to set our focus on the one to come. What does that mean? Detaching yourself from this world to attach yourself to the world to come. Right? Remember what the Most High talked about, having a single mindset, right? A single mindset, a mindset towards kingdom, right? Saying, nix everything else. I want the kingdom,
Come on.
right? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
Come on.
That's single-mindedness. Detaching yourself from the world and attaching yourself to the world to come. Right? He who gives alms in this life storeth up treasures in the heavens. New world. Remember what we talked about. The earth is dying. The earth is changing. Now, a lot of people are saying dying and change are two different things. No, they're the same thing. Death is required for change. How many of you know that? There can't be change without death. We must begin to walk in our offices within this work. We must give up our vessels to be used by the Most High Spirit. Putting your own will to death, putting your self-will to death for something else. Let's get Romans chapter 12, verse 1.
Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that we present our bodies a living sacrifice. How many of you know what sacrifice looks like in the scriptures according to the law? How many of you know what sacrifice looked like? Sacrifice required what? Death. Mm-hmm. So how is it that the Most High is saying living sacrifice? That's juxtaposition. That's backwards, right? He's saying a living sacrifice. It's because the what's required for a new life is different than what it was before. Why? Because Christ, thanks to Christ, which will be thanks to Christ's sacrifice, which we'll be talking about in coming weeks when Passover gets here. Thanks to his sacrifice, the Most High no longer requires death for life, physical death for life, at least. What he wants is your life. That's your sacrifice. Mm-hmm. You're putting your self-will to death and lending your will to the Most High. That's what it means to present your body a living sacrifice. What's the point in dying for Christ when you can live for Christ? He doesn't get anything out of you dying. You can't physically die and change. Mm-hmm. You die. There's nothing that he gains from your death. But if he can get you to live for him, mm-hmm. Now a work gets done. Now there's a testimony. Mm-hmm. There can't be testimony of a person who went to the edge and came back. If that person is dead, there's no testimony. That's called tragedy. Mm-hmm. That's not testimony, that's tragedy. Right? See, that's why he requires you to be a living sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Giving up something for something else. It's a trade-off. Mm-hmm. Present your body as a living sacrifice. That's not saying he's taking it from you. To present something means to give it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to take your life from you. You have to choose to give it away. Mm-hmm. Right? See, what we have to understand is all the Most High wants is your life. Right? That's all he wants. He doesn't want your death. If he wanted our death, he would just do another flood and wipe us all out because we're sinful enough to do so. How many of you know that? If the Most High decided tomorrow that, you know what, these people just not getting it together, he did it before. He did it before. And in a sense, he's going to do it again. To live being a perfect image of him in the earth as we were supposed to be. How many of you know the children of Israel were meant to be that city on a hill? How many of you know what city on the hill means? Right? Everybody can see you. Everybody's watching you. Right? He established Israel to be a city on a hill. So that means that if you're doing right, everyone sees you doing right. But it also means if you're doing evil and wickedness, everyone sees you doing evil and wickedness. So if we were set to be an example for the world, and we're that city on a hill no matter what, what is the example that we're setting on the setting for the world if we're not following the ways of the Most High? Hence why the earth is on a path to destruction. Go ahead and read the next verse.
Which is a reasonable service.
Which
Verse
is your
2.
reasonable service. This is the least you can do. This is the least you can do. It's the least you can do. Read.
Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world.
And be not what?
Conformed to this world.
And be not a part. Be not assimilated into. Be not integrated with. Read.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. See, we were born into, nourished, indoctrinated by, and lived in this world. How many of you know that? Born into, nourished by, nourished and indoctrinated by, and lived in this world. Everything we are is this world. We are the perfect image and likeness of this world. See, in the previous lesson that we went into in the last two parts, path, purpose, and legacy, we broke down how much of an impact it would have on the generation if we were to return on the next generation, if we were to return to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High and began to teach them to our children, Khan. The effect it would have to raise a child and the laws, statutes, commandments, and traditions of our people. This is a proven fix or repairing method for the children of Israel. It's proven. How do we know that it's proven? Because we did it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. If it works for the world, it works on our side as well. It works for the scriptures as well. The same process of indoctrination that was used for our children in the times when we were at our strongest, right? When we were teaching our children, raising our children up in the laws, statutes, commandments, and doctrines and traditions of the children of Israel. That same indoctrination has been used on our side as it pertains to the world. So just like the children of Israel were being born and became the perfect image and likeness of what the Most High would be in the earth, we, being born in, nourished and indoctrinated by this world, have become the perfect image and likeness of this world. So we were born to be conformed to this world. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. So the same process of indoctrination has existed amongst the world for centuries. So we are living proof that these methods work. Look at our communities. Not just in America, but around the world. We are living examples of what the world looks like. A people without law. Go ahead and read that scripture again, starting verse 2.
And be not conformed to this world.
And be not conformed to this world. Read.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Be ye transformed. The process of changing to become men and women of the Most High, becoming the men and women of the Most High that the Most High created us to be, right? Involves us completely unlearning all the things that we were taught and being transformed. Ever heard of reprogramming? It's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. If anyone here has ever seen code before and just been overwhelmed, having to go back and rewrite all of that code. Listen, it's happened to me before where you code all the way, you've written 30 pages of code, but you try to execute, and there's this one piece of code somewhere in those 30 pages that's wrong. And you have to start all the way over.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it as you are 20 years of code, 27, 28 years of code, 22, 23 years of code, having to be completely erased and rewritten.
Mm-hmm.
This process of changing requires a complete erase and rewrite. That's what Christ was talking about when he referred to being born again. Right? When he referred to being born again. A child is a blank slate. There's no programming. So all the traditions, all the laws, all the indoctrination, all the nourishment, reset. So yes, to change and be what the Most High created us to be requires a change, but not a tweak, a complete rewrite. How do we know this? The word transformed there in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, is in the Greek goes back to the word metamorphosis. This life and this truth does not come without some form of metamorphosis. Let's break down what the word metamorphosis means. The word metamorphosis is broken down into 3 parts. You have the prefix meta, meaning death. You have morpho, which is the root word, meaning a complete exterior and interior change of a person or thing. And you have the suffix sis, which is the action or process of something. So when you essentially put the word metamorpho and sis together, the word means the process of complete change through death. Metamorphosis means the process of a complete change through death. So change, this transformation, does not come without death. Therefore, change and transformation does not exist without death. Even death as we know it changed when Christ died and was reborn. So even the meaning of death changed. Death is simply a passing over, a change. Right? Let me know if you're following me. So essentially, we know that this metamorphosis, this transformation is baptism, right? The death of one and coming out a new and clean spirit. Right? This is the biblical example of a living sacrifice. Not a physical death, but a spiritual death. A spiritual death. Your soul being put to death and replaced, being renewed, being washed, being cleaned. Your journey in this truth, if you have not experienced the metamorphosis, you have not changed. How do you know if you've experienced the metamorphosis? If the same people you knew before you came into this truth can still approach you and speak to you the same way that they did before, after, you haven't changed. Listen, hey, think about it. People think that it's a bad thing when somebody walks up to you and you get in a big argument. You've changed. You're completely different from the person that I knew before. Good. Good. You can't deal with me now that I'm in this truth, now that I'm in this word, the same way that you dealt with me when I was in the world. That's a good thing. You don't see me the same way that you did when I was in the world. I know people, and keep in mind, when I was in the world, I wasn't, as deep as some of the people that I spoke to were. A lot of times the people that I spoke to who were deep in the world kept me away from those things on purpose. They looked at me and they said, nah, Taj, you different. No, when they were doing stuff they ain't had no business, I was like, hey, yeah, let me get a drink of that. They're like, nah, bro, you different. They would tell other people, nah, he don't drink. Nah, he don't do this. Nah, he don't do that. So in a sense, that was the Holy Spirit protecting me. For the reason that you see here today. So that I can be here. Right? But see, they dealt with me a certain way back then. But even now, they don't deal with me the same way that they even did back then. They know not to come and ask me, hey, you want to do something on Saturday? Hey, you want to do something? Hey, when they approach me, hey, man, I know you don't do this on Saturday, so we moved it to Sunday. We're going to do such and such on this day. Or this. They don't even deal with me the same way. They don't test the waters with me. If people feel comfortable, now a lot of times they don't know, but if people feel comfortable cursing the same way that they do around everyone else, they come up to you and they just cussing like a sailor. Now, see, it's just some people that do, but people that knew you before you were in the truth and people who know you after, there should be a change in the way that they speak to you and the way that they deal with you. Things that they won't say or things that they won't do around you. I know people that cursed around me before I came to the truth and refuse to curse around me now. I know people who would smoke around me that don't smoke around me now or don't smoke anymore at all. See, if you're changing to them, there's no incentive for them to change for you. Remember that city on the hill? That's what you want. Them changing for you. We show them the way. They don't show you the way. This is a living sacrifice. To give yourself away to be changed. No change happens without death or a process. I'm going to say this again. Remember, meta is 3 parts. Meta means death. Morpho means a complete interior and exterior change of a person or thing. Sis means the process or action of. So the root word morpho cannot happen without sis, a process, or meta, death. A transformation cannot occur without a process or without death. Death comes first. The process comes later. Don't think that the process comes before death. Once you're baptized, the work becomes much harder after. Why? Because the devil doesn't want you to finish the process. The process towards change.
That's right.
See, I can put you on the path, but you have to start walking. Is everyone following me?
Right.
Paul never mentions change. Paul never mentions a change of physical appearance, but rather a metamorphosis of mindset or thinking. How many of you know if you change the way that you think, your physical will change as well? I've seen people come into this truth one way, and after 3 years, they look like a different person. Believe me. Believe me. It happened. Obviously, that comes because of aging.
Mhm.
But with the addition of wisdom and the change of mindset, your physical appearance changes. How many of you know that gray hair has nothing to do with age? How many of you know that gray hair has nothing to do with age?
Mhm.
It's a changing of mindset. It's wisdom. It's wisdom. Wisdom of any kind. You can gain the wisdom of this world and you get gray hair.
Mhm.
It's wisdom. It's a change, right? So when you come into this truth, after 3 years, and you're looking at yourself and you're the same exact person, still dirty, still your house still dirty, your kids ain't clean. Yeah, I mean, everything about you is the same way that it was when you came in. How many of you know that dirtiness and filth is a symbol of demonic possession? Demons don't like to be where cleanliness is. How many of you know that the children of Israel, their laws were purely based around clean and unclean? So if your situation is unclean, guess what's present? So if I go into your house and it looks the same way before you came into the truth as it does after you came into the truth, you have not changed.
Mm.
The law is not present. There are cleanliness laws. Yeah, there are cleanliness laws. So that's just one level of the change that must happen. Literally, with the change of a mindset, your physical situation changes as well. If you think poor, you'll be poor. If you think rich, you'll be rich. If you think middle class, you'll never strive to be upper class. See, and there's not a problem with that because there needs to be some of each. There needs to be employees, just like there needs to be owners. But the problem is that we have the children of Israel thinking they're minorities. You see where I'm going with this? Y'all see where I'm going with this? The scriptures say, I know thy poverty, thy affliction and poverty, but thou art rich. How does that make sense? If you're poor, how can you be rich? Up here. Your physical state changes by here. See, our people were taught during slavery we're a minority. And because we kept saying, I'm a minority, I'm a minority, I'm a minority, you're looking at 100 people in the cotton field with you. Turn around looking at 100 people in the cotton field with you. And you look at Massa and his wife, just 2 people, and you think, we're the minority. We can't win this fight. Got 100 people behind you thinking, I'm the minority. They're the majority. Not even realizing you're the majority. I know thy affliction and poverty, but thou art rich. Rich is a state of mind, people. The Most High said he's giving you the power to obtain wealth. What is the power to obtain wealth? What's written in the book. It's already here. You just need to ask for the revelation to look in the book and find it. See how your mental can change your physical? Paul never once brings up the physical. You can imagine the state in which people came to Paul to be baptized. But that person who came to Paul that day should not be the person that comes back to Paul 3 years later. Metamorphosis. Once you're put down in that water, death. Once you come up, the process of change begins. Elder, you got anything on that?
No, sir.
Paul never mentions the physical appearance, but rather the metamorphosis of the changing of mindset and thinking. Why is this? Because by transforming the way one's mind, By changing one's mind, you change the way that they look at life, actions, reactions, sin, good and evil, and death. All of your views change. See, if you're carnal, you can look carnal. See, how many of you in here know what discernment is? Discernment comes from a changing of mindset. See, if you're thinking carnally, you can only see carnal.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody can put on a nice outfit, come in all nice and clean and all put together. But you know what discernment is? Discernment is being able to see through it. Being able to see through the outside appearance. Because you change the way that you think, it transforms the way that you see life. How many of you came into the truth and you looked at a McDonald's sign one way? and then after 2 or 3 years, you look at McDonald's a completely different way? How many of you came into the truth and you look at Facebook one way, you look at Instagram one way, you look at Twitter one way, and you after you're in the truth for a couple of years, it looks completely different? Metamorphosis. Transforming of the mind. And because you transform the mind, your physical state changes as well. Your physical state changes as well. Why? Because now you can discern good and evil. Now you can see through someone's actions. Right? When you're thinking carnally and when you're in the world, you look at a person's words face value. Right? When you come into the truth, you hear those words in a completely different light. You know what those words mean. You know what those words mean. See, carnally is looking at the scripture where the Most High says he loves Jacob and hates Esau and saying, hate, human hate. But a person who uses wisdom, a person who's had a change of mind, they're not thinking carnally, they're thinking spiritually, knows the understanding of that word hate. It is through the changing of the mind that the physical is also changed. Metamorphosis. You change, if you change your mind first, your physical changes as well. That's why you see people, they say a little man's complex, mm-hmm. where a person who's small, they think as if they're not. It's like, nah, it's like, how tall are you? Yeah, 6'4", really 5 feet tall. 6'4". See, how many of you know in the recruiting process in sports, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know this. When you have players who are undersized, they focus more on your interviews than on your physical measurements. They want to see if you have a little man's complex. Why? Because if you're a little person playing linebacker or a little person playing defensive lineman, if you think like you're little, then you're going to get pushed around by the big people. If you think big, you have an advantage. Because now you have all the tools of a small person, the speed, the compact ability, but the mind of a big person. So now you're taking advantage of the bigger people. How many of you knew that? If you got a little person who's like, yeah, I'm a little too small for... You're like, okay, I understand you're 5'4" instead of 6 foot, but are you going to deliver a hit like a 6 foot? Changing of mind. Stop thinking you're less than or you will be less than. Stop thinking that you can never achieve the level of Christ, the level of righteousness that Christ established, because you will never achieve it. If you keep saying I can't be perfect, you will never be perfect. Think about that. Well, I'm not Christ. We're supposed to strive to be like Christ. I'm not Christ. I can't be Christ. I can't be perfect. You'll never be perfect, and you'll always make mistakes, and you'll always fall. And one day you'll never get up because you can't be like Christ. Changing of mind. I told you I was going somewhere with this. Told you I was going somewhere with this. Instead of saying, I can't be perfect, like the Christian church says. The Christian church neglects the whole law because I can't be perfect. I can't be perfect. The Most High never asked you to be perfect. He said to strive for perfection. Say, I will be perfect. And if I fall from this day forward, I will be perfect. Not, oh, I fell today and I'm going to fall again. No, I tripped, but I have not fallen. Changing of the mind. If you change your mind, your physical changes as well. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17.
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, if any man be in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
he is a new creature.
He is a new what?
Creature.
He is a new what?
Creature.
He is a new creature. Read.
All things are passed away.
All things are passed away.
Behold, all things are become new.
Behold, all things are become new. Metamorphosis. Notice what Christ points out here. You come to Christ, right? The truth, the knowledge of the truth, and you become a new creature, right? But notice what he goes into. That's the morpho. That's the morpho in metamorphosis, the change, right? A complete exterior and interior change. But notice what he goes into next. Old things are passed away, death. And behold, all things become new. Process. Metamorphosis. Told you I was going somewhere with this. Right? Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things are become new. Metamorphosis. You should in no way resemble the person you were coming out of the world today. And if you are new, you should not be the same person that you are today, tomorrow. I'm going to say that again. If you in any way resemble the person you were, you should not in any way resemble the person you were coming out of the world. And if you are become new, you should not resemble the same person that you are today, tomorrow. Every day is a metamorphosis. Every day is a change, people. A step forward or a step backward is a change. A step forward or a step backward is a change. To become a new creature is like yesterday you were a weasel and today you are a lion. Yesterday you were a mouse and today you're a lioness. It's a new creature. It's a change of species. Before I thought like a minority, but today I think like a majority. Yesterday I thought I needed to lie, cheat, and steal my way around the world. Today I'm a lion. I go in and I take what I want. I take what belongs to me. I do it righteously. I don't need to backdoor things to get things done. But keep in mind, there's a difference in the way the weasel thinks and the lion thinks. There's a different level or manner of thinking. Fear with the weasel. Inferiority with the weasel as it compares to a lion. With the lion, he's not fearful. What does a lion need to be fearful of? There's confidence. Right? A complete change is not only in physical nature, but also in approach to life. The conversations that you have should not be the same way that you had conversations before you came into this truth. Your manner of conversation should be different. The way you approach conversations should be different. There's a level of adaptation And evolving that happens when you're in this truth. See, when I first came into the truth, I thought I needed to debate everybody.
Yeah.
I thought I needed to answer every question.
Yep.
But as I matured in this truth, as I evolved, as I got older, I realized not every question is worth answering. That's not pride. A lot of people think, oh, he's prideful because of the way he answers questions or the fact that he doesn't answer questions. No, that's wisdom. That's wisdom. That's change. See, I changed coming out of the world to becoming that young man that felt like he needed to answer every question. That felt like he needed to debate every topic. And then over time, I matured to answering the right questions and entering the right debates. See, it's a mindset change. Even in this truth, it's a process. No one's a finished product, but you have to be willing to understand what change is and go through the beginning process, dying first. If you weren't willing to die, if you aren't willing to let go of everything that you owned and that you had and the way you spoke and the way that you did things in this world, you will never change and you will be left behind to die with it. Why am I going into this? Because this is what a new year is. The winter signifies the death of a year, and the spring represents the new life. So going into this new year tonight, today is the last day of this year, and tonight we'll be entering the next day. Are you going to be the same person? The world is changing. We see it. Matthew 24, we all see it. Revelations, we all see it. Revelation, we all see it. Right? Death. Second Corinthians chapter 4, verse 5. Salakia. So, a complete change is not only in physical nature, but also an approach to life. Will you acquiesce to sin or will you conquer it? Will you rise through failure and learn in success, or will you quit in failure and be complacent in success? I'm going to say that again. A complete change is not only in physical nature, but in an approach to life, the way you think, right? Because keep in mind, change starts with mindset. Your physical won't change until your mental changes. You have to decide and choose every morning to go in the gym and work out, right? Your physical won't change until your mind does. If you're still complacent about your physical, about your health, and about your body, it won't change. You won't go to the gym. But when you change your mind and say something needs to change, I need to change my body and I refuse to stay in the state of health that I was before, then you will see a physical change. Will you acquiesce to sin or will you conquer it? Will you rise through failure and learn in success? Or will you quit in failure and be complacent in success? That's for all of you people who are trying to be, who have ventures in business, friendships, relationships. Will you acquiesce? Will you give up to sin or will you conquer it? Will you overcome? In this new year, will you acquiesce to sin or will you conquer? Will you overcome? Will you rise through failure and learn in success? Or will you quit in failure and be complacent in success? 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15.
2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 15. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 16. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, The inward man is renewed day by day.
The inward man is renewed when?
Day by day.
It's a constant change. You should not be the same person tomorrow that you are today. It says, for all things are for your sakes. The Most High created this universe for us to inherit. The Most High said he created the Sabbath for man, not man for the Sabbath. All things are for our sakes, that the abundant grace might be through thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God. Right? That grace is even when we fall, even when we make mistakes, we can still come back. Go ahead and read verse 16 again.
Verse 16. For which cause we faint not.
So you don't quit in failure. You don't quit in failure. That's what grace is for. When you make a mistake, you don't quit. It says, for this cause we faint not. Mindset. Stop thinking your mistake is the end of the world. Poor people think that way. Poor people think, I lost $20. Oh, Lord, the world is over. Rich people think, okay, I lost $20. I lost $20,000. How am I going to get it back and double that? They faint not. It's a mindset. It's not about money. It's about mindset. It's not about the sin. It's about the mindset. If you change, if you transform by the renewing of your mind, sin cannot defeat you. Nothing can defeat you when you change your mind. For this cause we faint not. Read.
But though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
The inward man is renewed day by day. It's learning, it's changing, it's evolving. My outward man fell, but my inner man is still standing. And not only is he still standing, he's learning. That's why I made the example. Will you acquiesce to sin or will you conquer it? Will you rise through failure and learn in success, or quit in failure and be complacent in success? Oh, look, I overcame sin. I can defeat anything. Nothing can stop me now. Then next week, here she come down the street wearing that same red dress, and we're going to see what you got. You got complacent. You forgot how powerful Satan's wiles are. You forgot this is his world, and we're living in it. And if you acquiesce, if you quit in failure and be complacent in success, you will conform to that very world. And in the time that we're in, there's no telling whether you'll come back.
That's why in these times, we have to really beware of stagnation. Right? Understand, anything that's not moving is what?
Dead.
Dead. Are you hearing me? Anything that's not moving is dead. The same effect failure can have on you, it's the same effect success can have on you. You become complacent, you become stagnant, stale, you stop moving, eventually you die. And anything that's not moving, any river that's not moving, what is it? It stinks, right? It stinks. How many stinking people we have in here? How many of y'all stinking?
Stinking.
But hey, beware of stagnation.
And I implore you to think about this as well. Once again, going back to the mindset of the rich and the poor. See, the poor invest too much in stocks. Things that things that they can't control. Watching it, they call it wait, watch, wait, invest, watch, wait, and pray. Right? See, the problem is they have people who invest and they make everything. They become millionaires.
Right.
And then the next year they have nothing. See, the problem is that when you win in a market like that, you become complacent. When you win in a market that you can't control, you become complacent.
Mm-hmm.
You win $1 million one time and you don't do quite as much research the next time. But you still win, just not as much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do even less research the next time. Oh, I'm on fire. You're clicking buttons everywhere. Yeah, I got the hot hand. You know how it is in gambling? See, gambling and risk aren't the same thing. You can manage risk. You can't manage gambling, right? So you're like, oh yeah, I got a hot hand. You're clicking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, you aren't doing research at all. And what happens? Every dime that you made is gone. Will you acquiesce to sin or conquer it? Will you rise through failure and learn in success, or quit in failure and be complacent in success? Verse 17 of 2 Corinthians.
Verse 17. For our affliction, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment.
Our light affliction. See, you think this is bad. You think the Most High doesn't know that we're impoverished? The Most High says, I know thy affliction and thy poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. He not only does he know that you're afflicted, but he knows who's afflicting you. See, how can you call an impoverished man rich? Because of his mind. The scriptures say, Wisdom of Solomon says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Why are they oppressing the poor righteous man? He doesn't need money to change the world. He just needs this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need money to make money. I just need this. I just need the real estate in between my ears. That's all the real estate I need. That is what they fear. I know thy poverty and thy affliction, but thou art rich. You're rich here. He's already given you the power to obtain wealth. Read it. It's up here. It says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment. It comes and it goes. Mm-hmm. If you're going to let an affliction that comes and goes cause you to fall and you never get back up again, you never deserve the kingdom in the first place. I'm going to say that again. If you allow a moment of affliction, a time that comes and goes, to drop you, you're out for the count. You never deserve to be in the kingdom in the first place.
Watch your toes.
If you, it's like letting yourself get knocked out over a jab. It's like losing every round. You got 12 rounds. You're losing every round. And in the 6th round, you say, I can't win. So you fold up on a jab. You never deserved it. You never deserve. As a matter of fact, not only did you not deserve that title, you didn't deserve that moment. I'm going to say that again. Not only did he not deserve that title, he did not deserve that moment. He should have never been there in the first place. Some people's toes get stepped on. Somebody's mad. Because the fact is, is that you're either in it or you're not. There's no gray areas. Mm-hmm. How many of you heard me say built for this before? Some people are built for this and some people are not. How many of you know there's a kingdom and not everybody can get in? Come on. Some people are built for this and some people are not. It's not pride. I'm not saying that I'm built for it. We'll see. But up here, I'm a fight. I fall, but I fight. I've never said one day that I'm perfect. But I tell you this right now, I'm a fighter. How many fighters we got in here?
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
How many people are going to take a jab and fold, take the paycheck and walk away? Or are you going to get back up and get a TKO? Punch life in the teeth and walk away with the belt. I'm not going to cheat my way into the kingdom. I'm going to earn my way into the kingdom. No one is getting into the kingdom by cheating. Verse 17 again.
Verse 17. For our light affliction, which is for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
It works more for you. See, I didn't understand why it is while I was growing up that we went through all the things that we went through. Why we went through all the seasons that we went through. Why we went through all the trials and tribulations that we went through. While I was in the hospital for so long. He was building me. That moment of affliction worked for me, not against me. With me, not against me. I wrote that. I wrote that in a poem a couple of years ago. A poem that I wrote before. I said, "The affliction works for me, not with me, not against me, yet with me. Works with me, not against me. Yes, with me, not against me. Yes, amen. Say that again." I wrote that years ago, and I didn't understand the significance of what it meant until literally right now. Our light affliction is but for a moment. Worketh for us, far more exceeding an eternal weight of glory. That affliction is light. But guess what? That affliction is light, but your reward is heavy. See, I'll tell you this right now. I felt beat up when we played those games. When I lifted that trophy at the end of the season, all that pain was gone. I felt good. I felt good, y'all. I tell you right now, what you go through, your affliction, that pain, that beating that you take all year is nothing compared to when you lift that trophy at the end of the season. And I promise you, a win feels a whole lot better than a loss. A win in this life means the kingdom. A loss in this life means affliction. Oh, and you think affliction here is difficult. Go watch our lesson on hell. Your affliction here is light no matter what. And what you get in return is going to be heavy no matter what. Heavy blessings or heavy cursings. There's nothing in between, people. How many of you in here are built for this?
There we go.
That's what I'm talking about. It's a mindset. Say, everybody in here, say, I'm built for this. Say it, I'm built for this. I'm built for this. Say it louder, I'm built for this. That's what it is. It's a mindset. Speak it, believe it, and it will come true. If you don't believe that you're built for this, if every day you say, I don't have enough, if every day you say, I'm not going to make it, I don't think I'm going to make it, you won't make it. Speak it. And when you speak it, it will come to pass. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. Believe it. Believe it a little bit. The scriptures say the faith the size of a mustard seed. He didn't ask you for the faith the size of a mountain. He said, I just want a little bit. And I'll make it happen. There you go, 40 in the chat. I'm built for this. That's what I'm talking about. Every day you should see a change in yourself that will be a component for being a holy sacrifice to the Most High. Every day you're adding a brick. You're adding a brick to become that holy sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Most High. Every change, the scripture says day by day. Every day that passes, every day that you're renewed, day by day, should be you adding another component to being the finished product, a body, a vessel that is worthy of the Most High's habitation. Even the small things, cleaning up your language and the way that you talk, or prayer throughout the day. Cleaning up your household, cleaning up your bedroom, making sure that things are right and in order. Those small things are a big difference. You shouldn't be the same person today that you are yesterday. It's the little things that change you, not the big things. Make righteousness a habit, not a thought. I'm going to say that again. Make righteousness a habit, not a thought.
Another thing, too, I would like to add to that is stop allowing everybody's failures to become your excuse. Everyone that you're connected with, not everyone is going to be walking the same way you're walking. They're not going to have the same level of commitment that you have, so you can't just keep allowing others' failures to become your excuse. You can't carry that into the kingdom. That you will have no defense before the Most High. The question will always be, what did I tell you to do? Therefore, it doesn't matter what your family's not doing, what your homies are not doing. You were given an assignment. You were given the same mandate, the same Bible, the same commandments, right? So we're without excuse, right? Are we not the city on the hill? Are we not the example? Are we not the light? Let's stop doing that, people. Let's stop doing that.
The kingdom is but for a few.
Come on.
If you let someone who's not getting in anyways keep you from getting in, you, like I said, you weren't meant to be there in the first place.
That's right.
If you can let someone who's not getting in keep you from getting in, you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. If you were going to get into that fight that you knew going in was going to be a tough one, you knew you were going to be in for the long haul, and in the middle of that match, you say, you know what, I quit. You were never supposed to be there in the first place. That belt was never for you. You were never going to lift it. Get somebody else in there that has more heart. Get somebody else in there that has more strength and mental fortitude. How many of you know it's all mental? I've played in cold before. Cold has nothing to do with why teams play bad. It's mental. Cold is psychological. Just like heat is psychological. Yes, it has an effect on your body. But is it going to break you up here? It's all mental. That's why guys go to therapy before they go into extreme weather. Why they go through therapy when they come out of extreme weather? It's all mental. It's all what's going on up here. That's why you hear guys say, oh, he cold. Yeah, he cold. You hear guys say, oh, yeah, he hot. Oh, yeah, he hot. And you start thinking about it like, oh, shoot, I am cold. Oh, it is hot. Next thing you know, you get stiff. You're like, oh, hold on. That hit felt a little different. Now you don't want to run across the middle because of that last hit I took. It was kind of, I felt like I broke something. Or I'll put it like this. Remember, the scriptures say, remember I said earlier, are you going to sin? Are you going to acquiesce to sin or conquer it? See, injuries happen. People get hurt, right? How many of you know physical recovery is only 1/4 of recovery? majority of the majority of the reason why players come back from big injuries like ACLs and Achilles and they don't look the same is because they aren't the same here. And oftentimes it's a moment for players that do come back the same. It's a moment for them where it's like, oh, I'm going to be okay. I got hit in my leg and nothing happened. I'm good. But it's up here. Am I going to be able to cut without my knee tearing up like it did the last time? Am I going to be able to take a hit without my body breaking apart? It's all up here. If you change the way you view sin, you change the way you fight sin. You change the way you think about poverty, and you change the way you come out of poverty. Mm-hmm. We're going to come back in a quick moment and close this thing out. We weren't supposed to be here long, but can't quench the Holy Spirit. So we'll be right back in a moment, and we're going to close this thing out.
Hey, the brother told me the other day, he said, hey, if y'all play this at a high holy day, you guaranteed to make the people dance like Dave. Okay. I said, oh yeah. Hey, karate's I make you lean and rock. I make your knees bend. I make you move non-stop. I got the beat hard like a crooked old cop. And when the beat drop out, you gon' say anything hot. Look, I'm dancing with no shame. Dancing with no shame. See, I'm moving something like Dave did. I done broke free from them chains. See, I'm a new man. I made real change, but they calling me insane. I got me the true man. I got a new name and I'm far away from them flames. And now I'm dancing like I'm spinning on the lowly and Poland. Got these other nations watching like he really got the Holy Ghost. Your shine came and scooped me. Now you really see the new me. I'm just dancing like I'm David. That's just how we do it. Judah. Hey, dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave.
Dancing everywhere.
Dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance,
everywhere.
dance like Dave.
Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance, dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance.
Where my sisters at, we keep it all modest though. Head wrap, head scarf, that's how we go. Virtuous women in the making, no mistaken. We are now tuned in to this proper tutorial. Where are the sisters that hold their husbands down? Where are the sisters being obedient to receive this crown? We back to the business, back to our natural use, back to our beginning. Restoring what Eve did, lesson well worth it. We moving about like we worth it, we deserve it. We forever proven, not complicated like a Rubik's Cube. Do it's not like the hottest do. Teach Jezebel's a thing or two. Now we can dance like Sarah. Wave your hands like Esther. Step and fade like Hannah. We can step and fade like Hannah.
Hey, dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave.
Dancing everywhere.
Dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance,
everywhere.
dance like Dave.
Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance, dance like Dave. We gon' make it dance like Dave.
Numbers 15 and 38. That's me though, getting my swag on. I'm bouncing, screaming the credo. Boy, this ain't no twerk song, more like a anthem. Sisters are looking beautiful, brothers are looking handsome. David did a dance off. He was Hebrew. All of the other nations respected and kept their hands off. We dancing. We used to do that. We been leaning and rocking for years. I thought you knew that. You don't need a shot of Patron to get us moving. All we need is the word in the Christ, and we'll be grooving. I'ma need ankle support, cause I'ma be dancing like David for so long it might just bring and get sore.
Hey, dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave.
Dancing everywhere.
Dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance, dance like Dave.
Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance, dance like Dave.
Like Yeshaya's here.
We gon' make it dance like Dave. Dance. Okay, now on this part of the song, I want y'all to turn up, turn up. We about to praise the Most High, because He's the one that brought you out of these chains. He's the one that gave you this truth. Dance, 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 dance like Dave. Dance, 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 dance. We gon' make you dance like Dave. Dance. Karata's Akkad, your Pod Q, Rashawn Judah. Yeah, dance like Dave. We just made you dance like David. Hey.
Here we go.
All right. Let's get Matthew chapter 5, verse 13.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. Ye are the salt of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
But if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted?
Mm-hmm.
It is therewith good for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men.
That's exactly what I just said earlier. See, now a lot of people would get offended by me saying, if you allow a person who isn't getting in to keep you from getting in, you never deserve the kingdom in the first place. See, this is exactly what this is talking about. It's like, listen, we are the salt of the earth. We are created to be the salt of the earth, Khan. But if the salt have no savor, it's good for nothing. That means if you aren't mentally stable, if you aren't mentally strong enough to not only do but complete this work, you weren't meant to be here in the first place. Sad but true. The scriptures say if it were possible, the very elite shall be deceived. It's not possible for the very elite to be deceived. So if you are deceived and you fall, were you ever elite? Questions. Read.
Verse 14. Ye are the light of the world.
We are the what?
The light of the world.
The what?
The light of the world.
The light shows everyone the way. We are the light of the world. Remember when we read it in Exodus chapter 10, when all of Egypt was dark, guess where the light was? The children of Israel. Read.
A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid.
A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Stop being fearful. Stop being fearful. What do I mean by that? When someone asks you what you believe, don't back off. There's a lot of people who are afraid to wear fringes out in public. There's a lot of people who are afraid to wear a mitri out in public. Now, I'm not saying that you always have to do that. There's wisdom as it pertains to that as well. But there are people who are genuinely fearful to let their beliefs be known. They're afraid of the questions that will be asked. They're afraid of the way people will think about them. Well, guess what? When the kingdom comes, we'll be seen anyways. A city on a hill cannot be hid. Listen, we have a position, we have a duty, we have an obligation, whether we asked for it or not only to our own people, but to everyone else. If you hide your light, what good is that light? It's not good at all. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use wisdom as it pertains to these things. But if you are hiding your belief, what good is your belief? Tell me, if you hide your belief, what good is it? If you hide your knowledge that your people are from the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and you don't tell anyone, what good is your knowledge of it? It's no good. Why? Because you're the only person benefiting from it. Your community, you still go outside and your community still looks like trash. And you still have people in your community doing wickedness against you because you refuse to show your light. A city on a hill cannot be hid. Even if you do try to hide your beliefs, guess what they're still looking at? Well, he cussed just like me. Shoot, I saw him at the club last week anyway. He was down there with us. Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, I mean, he just like one of us as far as I'm concerned. He a Christian. When you say see, when I say I'm a Christian, people knows that what I do is different. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, well, what kind of Christian are you? Other people, if you doing everything that everybody else do, everybody be like, oh, you're a Christian. Yeah. So you want to come to the club on Saturday too? Yeah, we're gonna be down there from 6 to close. they got the lemon pepper wings at the they got a special on the wings and margaritas at the club on Saturday. You gonna be there, right? If you're getting questions like that, has there been a metamorphosis? Tell me. If you're still getting questions like that, has there been a metamorphosis? Ye are the light of the world. See, if like I said, the people who I hung around, they looked up to me in a way. Even though I was younger than a lot of people that I hung around, they looked up to me in a way. And they saw me as different. They were things that they wouldn't allow me to do because they believed that I was different. If I acquiesced, if they saw that even what they believed was the best of them fall, what would they then do? That's a question. What would they then do? They would fall right with me. See, I didn't have the luxury of failure, just like you don't have the luxury of failure. Whether you think people are watching or not, people are watching. You're the city on the hill. You're the light into the world. The Most High showed me that a long time ago. If I fall, if I acquiesce, who falls with me? How many of you know all of us have a ministry? All of us have a work. If you fall, if your work doesn't get done, guess what? All those people who are supposed to benefit from your work fall right with you. Why do you think the Most High works so hard for his elect? Because if you fall, your work falls. And if your work falls, the people that your work was supposed to reach will fall. It adds a whole new level of meaning to that change in being a vessel. In order to be a vessel of the Most High, holy and acceptable unto the Most High, holy and acceptable unto the Most High, there has to be death, process, and change. A new creature. Weasel to lion, mouse to lioness. There has to be a complete change, inward and outward, starting with your mind. We as a people have gone astray and become products of the wickedness of this world. But we've been called out of it to be an example unto the world on what righteousness should look like. But in order to be that vessel, a living sacrifice, there must be a transformation of the mind, a metamorphosis of the mind, a complete and total change of the mind. It is through this transformation in the mind that we will begin to physically transform. Trust me, I've seen people come into this truth looking one way, and I look at them today versus the person who they were when they came in. Two very different people, even physically, the way that they dress, the way that they walk, the way that they talk, the way that they interact. Elders seen it too. Even in Christianity, we've seen it. I remember you told me about the brother who came into the church when you were in Christianity one day. He had locks, stank, all nasty looking, and then after years, what I look at him now and I would have never thought that he was the man that my father described him as.
Yep. Can't even describe him. I mean, can't even recognize him. Totally different person.
So yes, physical change happens, but what had to change in him first?
Yep.
His mind had to change first. His spirit had to change first. As long as your spirit I'll tell it like this. If you have a wicked and dirty spirit, even if you put it in a clean person, put it in a clean shell, guess what that clean shell is going to do? Yep. And everywhere you go, everywhere you look will become dirty with it. Everywhere that the children of Israel went, when they left, what happened? The waters became bitter. When they were there, the water was sweet. When they left, the water was bitter. It stank.
Come on.
Everywhere, every city that we built, when we left, what happened to it? It fell. It crumbled. See, where the Most High's people are, where righteousness abounds, the Spirit follows.
Come on.
And when that Spirit leaves, it crumbles. See, we noticed that when we were in the Christian church.
Yep.
We noticed that going from house to house. We noticed that going from school to school. We noticed that going from community to community. Am I lying? Family. Everywhere that we leave, what happens to the water? Filthy. It stinks. Every school that we've left, what happens to it? It goes from a A school to a what? Every community that we left was just hanging on. But when we left, what happened to it? Every church that we were a part of in the Christian church, when we left, what happened to it? Everyone who did something against this family, everyone who came against this family, when we left, what happened to it? That's called favor. And if favor doesn't follow you, what is?
Wow.
If favor doesn't follow you, what is? So my question is this: going from this old year into this new year, is favor following you, or is something else following you? Are you going to leave that something else that was following you in this last year? Or are you going to bring it with you? Told you I was going somewhere with this. See, this message came. I was praying throughout the entire week for what to speak to the Most High's people. And even everything that I brought out today wasn't in the document that we had. It's like a 2 or 3 page document. I got this message reading about finance. Every time the Most High sends a lesson about change, it comes by way of finance. And in order to change a financial situation, you have to have a change of mindset. How many of you know that? You have to change the way you think about money. You have to change the way you think about your job. You have to change the way you think about your community. You have to change the way you think about a bank account. You have to change the way you think about credit. You have to change the way you think about debt. You have to change the way you think about assets and liabilities. How many of you know to change your path from hell to the kingdom requires for you to change the way you look at the world? A complete change up here. If you view sin the same way that you did before you came into this truth, you will not make it. Sad, but true. The Most High has seen fit to bless you with another day. Why? Because there's still more work for you to do. There's still more change that needs to happen. If there weren't, you wouldn't be. If there weren't anything left for you to do, you would be in Hades or in the bosom of Abraham right now. If there was nothing left for you to do, if there was no more change that needed to happen, you would be passed into the next life, whether it be Hades or the bosom of Abraham. How many of you know that? So if you're still here looking at me, if you're still here breathing an unconscious mechanical effort, you're still breathing, you're still looking around, you can still feel, touch, taste, smell. Guess what? There's still change that needs to happen. Once you're the finished product, whether it be a finished product of wickedness or a finished product of righteousness, you'll be dead. Your journey's not over yet. So don't think, for those of you who are in a tight spot, for those of you who are struggling, if you're watching this right now, change needs to happen. Call this the Most High's wake-up call. Call this the Most High's warning. Call this the Most High's light bulb over the top of your head. He's telling you change needs to happen. And he's blessed you with a new year to do it. Winter simplifies the death of the old year, and spring represents the rebirth of the new year. Are you going to bring last year's death into this year? Take this blessing of a new year and use it to become what the Most High has created you to become, that light to the world, that city on a hill. Be self-sufficient. Start the process of weaning yourself off of drugs, medication, and things that are killing you. Change your diet to become a healthy temple that the Holy Spirit can live in. Clean up your language. Change the way you look at money, assets, liabilities, not spiritually, but financially as well. Put away chronic sin through fasting and prayer. Pray more. Whatever your thing is, you know what to do. I can't say what your thing is. You have to look at your life and say, what have I accomplished in this last year? What didn't I accomplish in this last year, and why? Then go into this year and say, how will I achieve? How will I change? How day by day will I create the person that the Most High would be happy to use as a living sacrifice, a vessel? And if you aren't a vessel for the Most High, for the Most High now, who are you a vessel for? Think about that. Because I promise you, your temple isn't vacant. It's not vacant. So what's there? Every year is a blessing and an opportunity to do things better than you did in the last one. Put last year's Bishop Taz, put last year's Elder Nathaniel Allah, last year's Ariella, last year's Zephaniah, last year's Isaac, last year's Ra'awaban, last year's Ashbel, last year's Malakah, last year's Allah Shabbat. Take last year's self, kill them, and be born again this year. Whatever you feel like you accomplished this year, tonight, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? It's a clean slate. We're starting over. So whatever success you had last year, you can't carry into this year. No more than all the wealth that you gain in this life, you can't carry into the next. Because just like you may have gained whatever you gained in this year, you can lose it just as quickly in the next one. And that's not to scare you. That's to show you that just as quickly as you felt you can rise, as you felt you rose, you can fall just as quickly. Just as quickly as you fell, just as quickly as you've remained on this level, that same level of quickness, you can rise. Will you rise in failure? Let me get that. Will you rise in failure, through failure, and learn in success, or quit in failure and be complacent in success? If you succeeded last year, what have you learned? See, Henry Ford, I'm not too big on a lot of these guys. I know a lot of these guys are spawn of the devil, but he said something that was very true. He was criticized a lot because he failed 1,014 times. He said, I didn't fail 1,014 times. I learned how not to succeed 1,014 times. See the mindset difference? Yep. The difference in the way people think? He said, no, I didn't fail. I know even my brother Zealous, he said in one of his songs, he said, all my L's, that's for lessons. If you aren't learning in failure, what are you doing? You should be learning how, if you're failing, the more times you fail, the more likely you are to succeed. See, the problem is that we're so afraid of failure. We're so afraid of falling that we never get up and start moving in the first place. I'm so afraid that I can't keep the law that I'll never keep it. is what the Christian church teaches. We can't keep the law. It's impossible, people. Only Christ could do it. Come on, guys. It's too much. The burden of the law is too great for you to carry. Didn't Christ say my burden is light? So why are you telling me that this burden is heavy? It's too heavy. Drop it. Give it to Christ. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Give it to Christ. Hand it over. Listen. You're so afraid to fail. You never picked up the law in the first place. You never attempted. Therefore, you will find yourself in hell anyways. Would you rather fail to succeed in the end? Or would you rather not try and die in the end? Without failure, there can't be change. We learn through our mistakes. We learn through sin. If you are so afraid to make a mistake that you never try, you're going to die anyways. You can't enter the new kingdom of Christ without change. And you can't change without failure. You can't change without death. You can't change without a process. How many of you know that a process has success and failure? Success and failure are mixed in to change. Just like you can't bake a cake without sugar, you can't bake a cake without eggs. You need all of it. Baking soda tastes nasty. It really does. But guess what? If you don't add it to that cake or to that cookie, it's not going to rise. Take the hit. Failure and success are a part of the process. Meta means death. Morpho means change, a complete change in exterior or exterior of a person or thing. Sis means the process or action of. There can't be a metamorphosis without process or death. Stop trying so hard to resuscitate this old life and embrace the new one. Stop trying so hard to hold on to those old friends and embrace your new family. I'm going to say that again. Stop trying so hard to hold on to old friends and embrace your new family.
Part of that, I'm going to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
But part of that is a lack of commitment to truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't look at something and call it what it is, that's a problem. One of the reasons why most people are deceived is because they reject truth. That's one new commitment that someone needs to embrace today. Stop rejecting truth. Then you can overcome deception. If you can embrace the truth, then you can look at whatever that is standing in front of you, whatever that circumstance is, whatever the situation is. Look at it, call it what it is, right? And then, like Charles was saying, you can let it go. You can move past it. But the reason why most people hold on to things like that is because you're making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe this is because of that. Or maybe this is going on is because of that. Mm-hmm. But you're too afraid to look at it and call it what it is. Embrace truth. Overcome deception. Put that on your list for this upcoming year.
And take your emotion. Add this to your list. Take your emotions out of this walk.
Please.
If your feelings are hurt by what I said, I'm sorry. But actually, I'm not sorry. Get it together. If you can't handle truth in the form of words, you can't handle this change in the earth that's getting ready to happen. Because I promise you, these words are to save your life. And in this change, there will be people physically trying to take your life. So if you are not emotionally strong and stable enough to handle the words that I'm giving you right now, you are not physically strong enough to handle the change that's happening in this earth. Christ was an austere man. Austere means direct, stern, straight to the point. We don't beat around the bush. Beating around the bush takes time that we don't have, time that we were never promised. The time for beating around the bush and running in circles is gone, unfortunately. So if these words for the viewers and the words in these and the words for the viewers and the words for the people in the room, if this hurts you,
maybe it needs to.
It needs to. Take your feelings and your emotions out of this walk. This is about truth. This is about salvation.
It's about change.
It's about change. Feelings keep you attached to a person that you've grown beyond. I'm going to say that again. Feelings keep you attached to a person that you've grown beyond. If you allow a person who's not getting in to keep you from getting in, you were never built for this. You were never supposed to be in the moment. That's what the Most High is trying to show you. I've given you the manuscript. I've given you the instruction manual. Build yourself for the kingdom to come. Stop allowing people and things that aren't me to stop you from what I called you to do. How many of you are willing to be stopped going in this new year? I hope not. I hope not. That's why we're tested. No matter, he wants to see if you're going to follow through. Are you going to follow through or quit? Are you going to fight through or quit? You know how many days we go through stuff trying to get this thing set up? How many days we have issues with technology and all this kind of stuff? That's because Satan's like, listen, this is my technology. Are you going to give up? You got to understand, when these trials and tribulations come, they're there on purpose. This wasn't an accident. Are you going to continue or are you going to quit? Satan wants you to quit. It's there for you to quit. The Most High wants you to rise and Satan wants you to quit. If you quit, he's won. Just like I said with that fight, you're there to win the title. The other guy is there to keep you from winning it. If you quit, you were never supposed to get it in the first place. You gave your opponent exactly what he wanted. I would have more respect for a person who got knocked out than for a person who quit. Listen, I've seen some people get knocked out, boy. Y'all watch, I know everybody in here has watched a compilation of people just getting knocked out, whether it be UFC or boxing. I'll tell you this right now. At least they got knocked out and didn't fold up. At least they got knocked out and didn't fold up. I've seen some people take a dive. I'll take getting knocked, slap out, stiff and everything, toes pointed. I'll take a knockout over quitting any day. Because at least I can say it took everything in that punch to get me on that canvas. It took everything. You know what? The second I come to, I'm still getting back up. You ain't gonna carry me out of here. Ain't no stretchers, no nothing. Ain't no stretchers, no wheelchair. I'm gonna walk out.
Where we at?
Romans chapter 12, verse 1. We're gonna get that one more time. We're gonna close this thing up.
Romans chapter 12, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Which is your reasonable service. This is the least you can do. Present your body a living sacrifice. Read.
And be not conformed to this world.
Be not conformed to this world. Read.
But be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation, metamorphosis, a complete physical and spiritual change. Physical, spiritual, emotional, and financial change. Read.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
That ye may prove what is that acceptable, perfect will of God. What does that prove? What is an acceptable, That means that light. Be an example for what the perfect, acceptable, and good will of God is. Be that example. How many of you are ready to go into this year and be that example? I only heard a couple of y'all. Who's ready? Those in the comment section say con if you are ready to be that good, acceptable, perfect will of God. Con?
There we go.
Don't take this momentum that you have today and forget about it tomorrow. Keep it in the forefront of your mind. Keep it in the forefront of your mind. And guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna become a habit.
That's right.
Make righteousness a habit, not a thought. The world is changing. Satan's world is dying. Christ's kingdom is rising. Esau's reign is coming to an end, and Jacob's world is beginning. The entire earth and the heavens are going through a metamorphosis. Change with it or remain the same and die with the old world. Happy New Year's, brothers and sisters. Use it wisely. And Shabbat Shalom.
Before we close, just one thing I would like to add to everything that was spoken today. Awesome job today.
All praise to the Most High.
Was everybody blessed today? All praises. One thing I would like to say to everyone for this year, one thing I would ask you all to do, admonish you all to do. Let's get real this year. All right? Let's get real. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot that's going on in the earth today. There's a lot of games. There's a lot of people out there claiming to be bringing the truth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that going on, right? What I recommend that you all do this year, be that person that you will want in the foxhole with you.
Mm.
We're in a battle, right? No one wants to be in a battle in the foxhole with someone you can't trust, someone you can't rely on, someone you can't turn your back to and expect for them to cover you. Be that person. And if you can't see yourself as being that person, let's be real about it. Don't say you are.
Mm-hmm.
Or don't say you can. Or don't make a false commitment, right? Let's get real. It's time out for the games. Time is short. Right? Mm-hmm. How many disagree with what I'm saying? Let me see a show of hands. Who can say that I'm wrong? Be that person you would want in the foxhole with you.
If it was only you and one other person that had to go into war, who would you want that person to be? See, and that's one of the things that it comes down to the small things, because the small things show you what kind of person a person will be when things get rough. If you have a person who's never on time, they never got your back. They talk, they backbite, they backbite against you. One day they're here, one day they're there. You can never pin down where they are mentally. You really want to go to war with that person? You're going to be like, all right, we in the foxhole. You down there. All right, y'all. In 3 seconds, we're going to pop up and we just going to go crazy, man. You know what? And you pop up and you like, and everybody looking at you, you turn around like, oh, that boy gone. He's like, oh, where you went? Or you say, listen, we go, all right, so we're going to be on foot. We got to travel from here to there. I need you on the radio. I'm going to meet you here at this time, because at this time we have to go. And you get there and you like, all right, where you at? You radioing on me like, hey, hey, I ran into a, I'll be there next week. Is that cool? I'll be there in 3 weeks. Is that cool? Now, see, the same thing. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that things don't happen. I'm saying that you have to change the way that you think. Because just like now, a situation is one way, that situation, these same situations are going to pop up, but they're going to have a whole new level of importance. Practice now so that you'll be ready then. Listen, if you think that just having food, just having electricity, just having water, just having survival skills is going to be necessary to make it through this time, I'll tell you this right now. I know a lot of people that got way more survival skills than me, but they ain't going to make it either.
That's right. Tell them why that is.
Because it's about your spirit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Listen, I seen some people. I had a friend that I played ball with. Skinny white dude. Nobody took him serious. Skinny white dude. And we were out there. We always ran our drills and everything. We didn't have pads on. We're like, he gonna be third string. Yeah, we ain't even put him in our starting lines. We're like, yeah, everybody gonna be starting. But when I tell you the day we put on them pads, skinny white dude turned into Luke Kuechly real quick. He was and to this day I still talk to that brother like that. We did not see you coming. It wasn't. It's not what was on the outside. It's not. He didn't. His preparation. It didn't look like he prepared on the outside. He prepared up here. That boy wasn't afraid of nothing. No one. We had the best. You remember that year? We had the best running back in the country, and in practice, he and I were the only ones who weren't afraid to lay a hit, even if we got ran over. He prepared up here.
That's right.
You can be as little, as big, as tall, as short. You can be able to make a bomb out of a copper wire. But if your spirit isn't equipped for this time that we're going into, for this change, because how many of you know there isn't going to be a peaceful transition from Esau's to Jacob's world? Oh, no, ain't no peaceful transitions. No, none of that. It's going to be a chaotic, destructive, and bloody transition from Esau to Jacob's world. It takes something up here. It takes what's up here. I'm not saying that you don't prepare on the outside. Of course, you prepare on the outside. But you have to understand, no matter how much you prepare on the outside, if you're not prepared on the inside, it means nothing. Because guess what? Food runs out. Food can be stolen. But how many of you know man should not live by bread alone? But they live by what? Every word that proceedeth out of the Most High's mouth. That's what we live by. It's spirit first. How do you think Christ was able to live up on that mountain? They say, oh, no, you can only go a certain amount of days without food and water. Christ was up on that mountain 40 days, 40 nights without food or water. Who says that man has to live by bread alone? Listen, if your spirit is right, ain't nothing going to kill you. There's nothing that the Most High will allow to kill you. You will be like a cockroach. Everybody will be looking at you in the end and saying, how did you get here? That boy is indestructible. How did you said you had how much food? I had this much food and I had all this food and water stored up. And how did you get here? Because man shall not live by bread alone. Right. All praise to the Most High, everybody. Hey, man, it's going to be a transition. Tonight, we are going to celebrate the passing away of this past year, and we're also going to celebrate the incoming of a new year, and we're also going to celebrate the death of our old selves and the rebirth of our new selves. How many of you are ready to be better and more equipped spiritually this year than you were last year? How many of you are excited for the new year? Listen, people talk about new year, new me. Every day there should be a new year. When you wake up in the morning, pray and celebrate every day that you're a new you. We're in a new place, y'all. and change your mindset. Change the way you look at the world. Change the way you look at success. Change the way you look at failure. When you change your mind, I promise you your life will change. There's nothing you can't do when you change the way that you talk about yourself. I am strong. I am not weak. I am not dumb. I am smart. I am not poor. I am rich. All praise to the Most High. Man, I don't know about y'all, but I feel good. All right, we want to remind everybody that was watching today, peace and blessings. We have Passover that's going to be coming up in 2 weeks. How many of y'all are excited for that? Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. I'm excited for it. We're going to be celebrating Christ's sacrifice.
Hallelujah.
Right? So make sure you're all prepare yourselves for that and get into a place, removing the leaven and everything from your house for that particular time period. That is coming up. I want to remind you all, like, share, comment, subscribe. If this ministry has blessed you in any type of way, whether you be baptized into the ministry or not, please, we have our tithes and donations at the top. If you are not a part of the ministry, not a baptized member, you may donate. If you are a part of the ministry, definitely, if you're a part of the ministry, definitely send tithes, tag it for what you want it to be used for. Everything is a blessing, and we appreciate all of you who are showing your support and love. I also want to remind you all, there are people in the comment section that are trying to bring some mess. That's okay. We'll handle that. Y'all don't handle it. We'll handle it. We got people in the comment section. You also have people that pose questions in the comment section to bring argument and dissent. We don't answer those. We bring edification, and we leave. This is why we make videos, right? We make videos for people to watch and learn. If someone's watched the video and they don't want to learn, listen, there's a difference between learning and listening. I am a teacher. The elder is a teacher. Elder, if someone doesn't want to learn, can you teach them? Nope. You can't teach anybody that doesn't. You can't teach anyone that doesn't want to learn. You can only point them in the right direction and say peace and blessings. So that's what we're doing. When we see people in the comment section, we'll point you in the right direction. If you don't want to learn, I ain't got nothing to say. Right? I love you all. I love everybody in this ministry. I love everybody in this church. Our brothers and sisters in the Philippines, we know you're watching. We love you. Shabbat Shalom. We know they celebrated their Passover today. Not their Passover, their New Year's earlier this afternoon. Mm-hmm. So all praises for that. Our brothers and sisters in the Philippines, Freetown, Sierra Leone, throughout Africa, and Hawaii, and brothers and sisters everywhere. In Australia, brothers and sisters in Australia, all praise to the Most High for that. Any comments or questions, put them in the chat and we'll be sure to answer them. But we're going to celebrate, right? We're going to celebrate this new year. So we're going to leave y'all to it. Celebrate your new year and do some some internal observation, right? Think inward. Think about this past year that's dying and this new year and what you want to change. Don't take the message that I sent today lightly. We're going to celebrate. We're going to eat. Y'all ready to have a good time? All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We love you. Peace and blessings. Love you all. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
Flow well. So anything you got, it's all okay.